In the heart of a dense, snow-covered forest, nature's silence was interrupted by a faint, distressed cry. A large bear lay huddled beneath the canopy of towering evergreens, her breaths labored, and her body visibly weakened. It was evident that this magnificent creature, a symbol of strength and wilderness, was in dire need of help. Her fur, once pristine and powerful, was matted with the signs of exhaustion and struggle. A local wildlife observer had spotted the bear earlier and contacted a nearby animal rescue team, who rushed to the scene. As the team approached, they treaded carefully, aware of the delicate balance required to approach a wild animal, especially one in such a vulnerable state. The bear was not only in distress, but appeared to be preparing for something monumental: the arrival of her cubs. The challenge was immense. Assisting a wild animal during labor was no ordinary task. The rescuers knew the risks, both for themselves and the bear, but their commitment to her well-being was unwavering. As the minutes turned to hours, the scene unfolded like a silent drama. The bear's low growls and pained whimpers tugged at the heartstrings of the team. They set up a safe perimeter, ensuring the bear's space while preparing to step in if necessary. When the moment finally arrived, it was nothing short of miraculous. The first cub emerged, a tiny ball of fur and life, followed swiftly by another, and then another. The team watched in awe as the mother, despite her weakened state, instinctively cared for her newborns. But just when they thought the story had reached its climax, the unexpected happened. Something so extraordinary that even the seasoned veterinarian on site was left speechless. The discovery of the distressed bear was almost serendipitous. Wildlife tracker and conservationist Liam Carter had been conducting routine checks in the forest to monitor hibernation patterns when he heard an unusual sound. It was faint, almost like a deep groan muffled by the snow-laden trees. Intrigued and concerned, Liam carefully followed the noise, his boots crunching softly on the frosty ground. When he reached a small clearing, the sight before him stopped him in his tracks. There, under a low-hanging thicket of branches, lay the bear. Her large, heaving body appeared both majestic and vulnerable as her head rested heavily on her paws. Her eyes, glazed with exhaustion, flickered up at him briefly before closing again, as though she lacked even the energy to react. Liam's heart raced. He had encountered many wild animals in distress before, but this situation was unique. Noticing signs of imminent labor, her belly contracting rhythmically, her body shuddering slightly, he knew he had to act fast. He radioed his team at the local wildlife rescue center. "I've got a mother bear in labor here. She's weak. Send help, and hurry." Within minutes, his team arrived with a veterinary expert, Dr. Sarah Bennett, who had years of experience in wildlife emergencies. They worked quickly, assessing the bear from a cautious distance. Sarah noted that while the bear was in labor, she also showed signs of malnutrition and dehydration, likely from a tough winter season. The rescuers acted with both precision and care. They set up a safe boundary with temporary barriers to give the bear space while preparing fluids and medical supplies in case intervention was needed. Liam, keeping a steady watch on the bear, couldn't help but feel a pang of connection. There was something profoundly humbling about seeing such a powerful creature in need of assistance. As time ticked by, the urgency heightened. The bear's low, guttural moans grew louder, echoing through the forest. Liam and Sarah exchanged tense glances, knowing that every moment counted. They carefully administered fluids using a pole syringe to avoid startling her, and it seemed to provide some relief. As the first cub finally emerged, the team collectively exhaled in relief. But their work was far from over. One by one, more cubs followed, each a tiny miracle. Yet just as they thought their efforts had succeeded, the bear groaned again, and Sarah gasped. Something unusual was happening, something they couldn't yet explain. The forest clearing, once tense with the drama of the bear's labor, was now eerily quiet save for the soft sounds of her newborn cubs. The rescuers had withdrawn a safe distance to monitor the bear as she tended to her young, ensuring she had everything she needed to recover. But as the team began to pack up their equipment, a soft bark broke the stillness. Liam turned sharply, his eyes scanning the tree-line. Out of the shadows emerged a lean, scruffy dog with a patchy coat and bright, curious eyes. It must have been a stray, its ribcage faintly visible beneath its fur, telling the story of a tough life in the wilderness. The dog hesitated as it approached, its tail wagging nervously. "Where did you come from, buddy?" Liam muttered, crouching slightly to show he wasn't a threat. But the dog wasn't interested in him. Instead, it cautiously made its way toward the bear's makeshift den. "Hey, no, stay back," Liam called, panic flashing through his voice. He had no idea how the bear would react to this unexpected visitor. The dog paused, as if considering the warning, but then it moved forward again, more determined this time. The rescuers watched in stunned silence, torn between intervening and allowing the scene to unfold. The bear lifted her massive head as the dog approached, her eyes narrowing in a mix of exhaustion and instinctive wariness. A low rumble escaped her throat, a warning that any creature would be wise to heed. But the dog didn't flinch. Instead, it crouched low to the ground, wagging its tail gently in a display of submission. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The rescuers held their breath as the dog inched closer. To everyone's astonishment, the bear didn't attack. Her growls softened, her gaze shifting from the dog to her cubs, as if realizing the stray posed no threat. The dog, emboldened by the lack of aggression, lay down a few feet away. It was a cautious but profound gesture, one that seemed to say, "I'm here to help, not harm." Over the next few hours, something extraordinary began to unfold. The dog stayed near the den, keeping watch as the bear rested. When the cubs wandered too far, the dog gently herded them back, its maternal instincts matching the bear's own. At first, the bear observed the dog with guarded curiosity, but as time passed, her posture relaxed. It was as if she understood the dog's intentions and had come to accept its presence. By the second day, the bond between the two unlikely companions was undeniable. The dog often curled up near the den, its body acting as an extra layer of warmth for the cubs. The bear, in turn, seemed to trust the dog completely, even allowing it to nuzzle the cubs and play with them in her presence. For the rescuers, the sight was almost too heartwarming to believe. They had come to help a bear in distress and left witnessing a remarkable story of friendship and trust. The dog, once a stray fighting for survival, had found a purpose and perhaps a family in the most unexpected place. As days turned into weeks, the bond between the bear and her unexpected companion, the stray dog, blossomed into something truly extraordinary. It was as though the forest itself had conspired to bring them together, forging a connection that transcended their differences. At first, their interactions were cautious. The dog, whom Liam had affectionately named Scout, remained ever vigilant near the den, acting as a self-appointed guardian. The bear, now regaining her strength, allowed Scout to linger closer each day. The cubs, curious and playful by nature, quickly warmed to Scout, treating the dog as a strange but lovable sibling. One chilly morning, Liam and his team observed a scene that perfectly captured the deepening bond. The cubs, their tiny paws slipping on the frosty ground, were attempting to climb over a fallen log. Scout, with boundless energy and patience, leapt over the log repeatedly, as if showing them how it was done. The cubs watched intently, their little heads tilting in unison. One by one, they began to mimic Scout's movements, tumbling clumsily but determined to succeed. The bear watched this interaction from a distance, her massive form relaxed and calm. She no longer growled when Scout approached. Instead, she seemed to regard the dog as part of her family. Liam couldn't help but marvel at the sight. This wild, untamed creature had not only accepted Scout, but appeared to trust the dog to help raise her cubs. Over time, Scout's influence on the bear became even more apparent. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Liam noticed something remarkable. Scout had curled up beside the cubs to sleep, as he often did, but this time, the bear shifted her massive body to create a protective barrier around all of them, including Scout. It was an unmistakable gesture of trust and care, as though the bear had adopted Scout as her own. Their shared moments weren't limited to survival and rest. Scout introduced play into their lives in a way that felt almost human. The dog would dart around the clearing, barking playfully, and the cubs would chase after him, their tiny growls mixing with squeals of delight. Even the bear, usually stoic, seemed to enjoy these moments. Liam swore he saw her swat playfully at Scout one afternoon as he rolled around in the snow with the cubs. But the most heartwarming transformation was in the bear herself. She began to exhibit behaviors that seemed influenced by Scout's presence. She became more curious, often sniffing at the tools and supplies Liam left behind, mimicking Scout's habit of investigating everything. She also seemed more at ease with the humans nearby, no longer retreating into the forest whenever they approached the clearing. One unforgettable moment came during a sudden snowfall. The bear and her cubs were huddled together for warmth, and Scout, ever the protector, had burrowed himself into the pile. The bear extended a massive paw and gently nudged Scout closer, ensuring he was shielded from the cold. It was an act of pure, unspoken affection, a moment that left Liam and his team misty-eyed. As the weeks went by, the relationship between the bear and Scout became a source of inspiration for everyone who witnessed it. They were a living testament to the resilience of nature and the surprising ways in which different species could come together. Scout, once a stray struggling to survive, had found a family in the most unexpected place. And the bear, a symbol of strength and independence, had opened her heart to a scruffy little dog. In their companionship, there was something profoundly human, a reminder that love, trust, and connection can bridge even the widest gaps. It was a story the rescuers would carry with them forever, a tale of hope and harmony in the heart of the wild. Though their bond seemed unshakable, the bear and Scout faced challenges that tested the strength of their unlikely friendship. Life in the wilderness was unpredictable, and both animals had to navigate moments of fear, uncertainty, and danger. One of the first obstacles came when the weather began to shift. The once frosty landscape gave way to torrential rains that turned the forest floor into a slippery, muddy maze. The bear's den, nestled in a shallow hollow, quickly became waterlogged, forcing her and her cubs to seek higher ground. Scout, ever vigilant, trotted ahead as if scouting for a new home. But the journey was treacherous. The cubs struggled to climb the slick slopes, sliding back with each attempt. In this moment, the strength of their bond shone through. Scout barked encouragingly, running up and down the incline to guide the cubs. The bear, sensing their struggle, used her powerful body to nudge the cubs forward, shielding them from the worst of the rain. When one of the cubs slipped dangerously close to a stream, Scout sprang into action, gently grabbing the cub by the scruff of its neck and pulling it to safety. Together, they found a drier, safer spot, the bear settling her cubs while Scout lay protectively at the entrance of their new shelter. Another challenge arose when a group of coyotes began circling the area. The scent of the cubs had likely drawn them in, and their sharp cries echoed ominously through the forest. The bear rose to her full height, her growls rumbling like thunder, warning the intruders to stay back. But it wasn't just the bear who defended her family. Scout joined in, barking ferociously, his smaller frame darting between the bear and the approaching coyotes. The pair worked in perfect harmony. While the bear's size and strength were an imposing deterrent, Scout's agility allowed him to outmaneuver the coyotes, snapping at their heels and driving them away. After a tense standoff, the coyotes retreated, leaving the den in peace. That night, as the bear curled protectively around her cubs, Scout lay close by, his body pressed against hers. It was a silent acknowledgement of their teamwork, a bond forged even stronger through shared danger. But not all obstacles were external. There were moments of doubt and adjustment, especially for Scout, who had spent much of his life as a stray. He occasionally hesitated to accept the bear's affection, retreating when she tried to nuzzle him or pull him closer. Yet over time, he seemed to realize that this was his family now, and the warmth they shared was safe. One evening, as the cubs nestled against him, Scout leaned into the bear's massive frame, finally allowing himself to be vulnerable. The bear, too, grew in ways she might not have without Scout. She learned to share her space, to trust an outsider, and even to adapt her behaviors. When the cubs wandered too far, Scout would bark, and the bear would immediately respond, retrieving her young as though following Scout's lead. Their teamwork became seamless, their bond unbreakable. Through every challenge, be it the weather, predators, or their own uncertainties, they found strength in each other. Their companionship was more than survival. It was a testament to the power of trust and love, proving that even in the wild, connections can overcome the greatest of obstacles. The bond between the bear and Scout was strong, but it was put to the ultimate test one fateful day when the forest erupted into chaos. A lightning storm, sudden and violent, cracked across the sky, sending animals scurrying for shelter. The air filled with the sharp tang of ozone and the acrid smell of smoke as a bolt struck a dry tree, igniting a fire that spread rapidly through the underbrush. The bear, instinctively protective of her cubs, gathered them close, herding them away from the flames. Scout darted around her, barking frantically, his sharp cries urging them to move faster. The forest that had been their haven was now a maze of choking smoke and roaring flames. As they raced through the chaos, a falling branch landed between the group, separating Scout from the bear and her cubs. The bear hesitated, growling in distress as Scout yelped from the other side of the fiery barrier. For a moment, it seemed like they might lose each other. Scout didn't back down. Despite the searing heat, he barked and paced, searching for a way to reunite with the bear. The cubs, sensing the tension, whimpered and clung to their mother. The bear turned, her instincts torn between protecting her young and helping Scout. Then, in a moment that stunned Liam and his team, who were watching from a safe distance, the bear made her decision. With a deep, determined growl, she nudged her cubs forward, guiding them toward a safe clearing ahead. Once they were secure, she turned back, her powerful body surging through the smoke and flames. Reaching Scout, she used her massive paw to knock aside the burning debris, clearing a path for him to follow. Scout leapt through, his fur singed but his spirit unbroken, and together they raced back to the cubs. The fire's edge drew closer, and the team knew it was time to intervene. They guided the group to a clearing where the firebreak had held. As the flames subsided and the danger passed, the animals collapsed in exhaustion. The bear licked her cubs clean of soot and ash, while Scout lay beside her, panting but triumphant. That harrowing moment solidified their bond in a way nothing else could. The bear's willingness to risk herself for Scout and Scout's refusal to abandon the family showed just how deeply their connection had grown. They were no longer just companions. They were a pack, a family forged through fire and survival. As the forest slowly recovered from the storm and fire, so did the bear, Scout, and the cubs. Their bond, tested and strengthened by the challenges they had faced, was now unshakable. The once lone stray and the fiercely independent mother bear had become an inseparable team, each finding strength and solace in the other. The rescuers, who had grown attached to this unlikely family, continued to keep a distant watch, ensuring their safety without disrupting their natural lives. It was clear to everyone who observed them that something truly extraordinary had happened. Scout, a dog who had known nothing but struggle and solitude, had not only found a family, but had also become a vital part of their survival. The bear, in turn, seemed to have softened in ways no one could have predicted. Her once wary gaze now held a calm acceptance, even trust, toward the humans who had initially helped her. More profoundly, she had embraced Scout as one of her own, treating him with the same care and protection she afforded her cubs. As the weeks turned to months, the cubs thrived, growing stronger and more adventurous with each passing day. Scout remained their tireless playmate and protector, teaching them the skills and curiosity that would one day help them navigate the world on their own. Liam and his team often marveled at the sight of the cubs mimicking Scout's behaviors, from sniffing out trails to wagging their stubby tails in playful excitement. One crisp morning, As sunlight filtered through the forest canopy, Liam witnessed a moment that captured the essence of their journey. The bear and Scout sat side by side at the edge of the clearing, watching the cubs tumble and play in the golden light. The contrast between their forms, the bear's powerful, hulking frame and Scout's lean, scrappy figure, was striking, but their shared presence radiated harmony. It was a reminder that love and connection could bloom in the most unexpected ways. In the end, their story became a symbol of hope and resilience. It was shared widely by the rescuers, inspiring others to see the importance of compassion and coexistence with the natural world. For the bear and Scout, it wasn't about species or survival. It was about the simple, profound act of caring for one another. Even as Liam and his team prepared to step back, allowing the animals to live freely as nature intended, they carried with them the memory of this incredible bond. And deep in the heart of the forest, Scout and the bear continued their journey together, proving that love knows no boundaries and that even the wildest hearts can find a home.